News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Really quickly on the illegal front, I promised to play you some audio from CNN, Aaron Burnett, the K-Files, which is their investigation unit, apparently. And they investigated Kamala, everything she said publicly and ran on and has never disputed publicly or said anything about it ever other than these are my stances. And here it is. This is gonna grab you by the you-know-whats if you think she's somehow a moderate person or whatever, become moderate. There's no way you can come back from this. This is more radical than Bernie. Here we go. Let's go here. 1 second. Here we go.
And then look at what she said here. She said on immigration, she made this open-ended pledge to end immigrant detention. She said she supported taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants. She also said she
taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants. She actually said she supported that.
She both wrote and answered in the affirmative when she was asked this. Oh. And she said she also supported it for federal prisoners. Now, she also pledged to slash immigration detention by 50%, close all family and private facilities, and decrease funding for ICE, and then end ICE detainers with local law enforcement.
I mean, these are things that, it would be hard to think that you would come up with taxpayer funding gender transitions for detained migrants. And yet this, as you say, written and verbally. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play a little bit more from this same 3.5-minute piece on CNN that aired just this past week. Here's a little bit more from their conversation after his report. If I can pull up my audio, here we go. And hold on.
Support the decriminalization at the federal level of all drug possession for personal use, and Harris answers yes. Now, what would that mean? Well, it mean the federal all drug possession. That's not just marijuana, which she alluded to in her answer to this question, but it also would mean
it's federal level of all drug possession,
fentanyl, crack,
yes.
Cocaine, things like that. Yeah.
Have they responded to you on her changes on these issues?
So we did put this question to the Harris campaign about the entire ACLU questionnaire, and the Harris campaign didn't answer any questions from CNN. Instead, they just provided a statement from an unnamed Harris campaign advisor that.
So there's just she literally wants fentanyl to be legal, crack, cocaine, everything legal. Make it all legal. That's who she is. This woman hasn't changed. Remember, she said 3 times in her CNN interview, the one interview she's done since she declared candidacy, she said, my values haven't changed. You know what that means. I know what that means. In fact, you hear what Bernie says about that in just 1 second. But here's a little bit more on the illegals and the radical leftist positions of Kamala in her own words and what CNN found. Let me make sure I got the right one. Here we go. And here's the last piece. Come on, baby. The hamster on the wheel is thinking. Okay, hold on. I'm going to just redo it. My gosh. All right, let's try it again. Let's get that hamster back on the wheel. We're almost there. Sorry.
The federal level of all drug possession for personal use, and Harris answers yes. Now, what would that mean? Well, it mean the federal all drug possession. That's not just marijuana, which she alluded to.
All right, we played that part. I'm sorry. Right here, I had to cut this up. It's a little raw. And here's the last piece for you of CNN and their investigation of Kamala.
Pragmatic approach, focusing on common sense solutions for the sake of progress. So where does she stand on this? All this questionnaire today? We don't know, and they won't say.
It's pretty incredible stuff. And thank you very much, Andrew. K-File for this.
So that's it. I mean, she was blown away. Aaron Burnett, liberal journalist, was blown away at how radical she is. And she won't say anything publicly. Now, this is it gets worse with this administration with Kamala and Joe, and where she will take us, because the Wall Street Journal had a devastating piece out. Why Americans are sour on the economy. They have good reason to be, as the latest census data revealed. What the latest census data revealed, this is United States government statistics that just came out from the United States Census. Americans are poorer today than they were when Joe and Kamala took over. I repeat, Americans today, right now, are poorer than they were the day Kamala and Joe took over. That's the United States Census. I've got every single statistic you can think of and dream of in front of me, and I'm going to try to do this as simple and short as I can. And unfortunately, the Journal reports from the United States Census Bureau's new data that just came in, Hispanics, Asians, and blacks didn't get any statistical significant income growth. None. Listen to this. The real median earnings for full-time workers last year declined. You lost 1.6% of your salary last year. Even more for high school grads. If you're a high school graduate, you lost 3.3% of your pay just last year alone. With inflation. This means, the Journal says, inflation outpaced wage gains for most low-wage workers. You are a slave, and Joe and Kamala have made you more of a slave. And they're going to do it again for 4 more years if you vote her in. I'll continue on. Real median income household today is lower than in 2019. I repeat, real median household income, what we're making, is lower today than when Joe and Kamala took office. As I said, we are poorer today than the day Joe and Kamala took office. It has barely grown since 2020 when they took over. The Journal says the contrast between the first 3 years of Trump and Biden presidencies is striking. Here we go. First 3 years of Trump administration, 2016 to 2019, income climbed for Asians, $14,600. Whites, $8,900. Hispanics, $6,900 raises from, in the first 3 years of Trump. Blacks, $4,500 increase in income in the first 3 years of Trump's. And here were the first 3 years under Joe and Kamala from 2020 to 2033. Asians went from making $14,600 in the first 3 years of Trump to only $1,500 in the first 3 years of Joe and Kamala. Whites went from making $8,900 in the first 3 years of Trump to making only $850 under Joe and Kamala. Hispanics went from making $6,960 more in the first 3 years of Trump to $700 in the first 3 years of Kamala and Joe. They literally lost $6,200 in income if you're Hispanic in your first 3 years. And when inflation has eaten that up and you've lost money, that's why I just read you lost 3.3% of your wages if you're a high school grad last year. And if you, all workers that are full-time, you lost 1.6% of your income last year just because of inflation from Kamala and Joe. It's worse, though. Blacks only got $2,650 more in 3 years of Kamala and Joe compared to $4,540 in the first 3 years of Trump. So that's literally Trump. You made double if you're black under Trump in the first 3 years. You made $6,200 more if you're Hispanic in the first 3 years of Trump versus Biden. And if you're white, you made $8,060 more in the first 3 years of Trump compared to Biden. If you're Asian, you made $13,100 more in the first 3 years of Trump under Biden. That is the truth. And because COVID reduced incomes in 2020, this comparison, if anything, the Journal says, flatters the Biden-Kamala record. It flatters it. In other words, it's worse than this. I have more that I'm going to read to you coming up next. Plus, I'm going to share with you damning national surveys on retirement being horrible, how millions of Americans are not working. They left the workforce. I got statistics that are stunning from Fox News business host Charles Payne. I'm a big fan of his. I also have inflation, according to Fox News, under the last 3.5 years of Joe and Kamala. And I have a breakdown for August 2024 in one chart from CNBC, and it's not good. I have the CPI inflation report from CNBC, Consumer Products Index base inflation report. It is not good. How 1 in 4 millennials and Gen Zers say they will not have kids because of finances. Let me tell you what that means. That's the destruction of this nation. Joe and Kamala have invaded this country with 14 million or 15 million illegals in 4 years that don't give a frog's fat butt about our country, our values. They crap on us. They don't care about us. Most of them, not all, but enough of them is what I mean to say. Enough. Haiti, they're destroying one town. 20,000 people in one town. I've gone into that. Tren de Aragua Unleashed. But here's the thing. When you wait till you hear how many jobs went to illegals and did not go to Americans, that Kamala and Joe crow about these jobs, it's stunning how overwhelmingly the jobs went to illegal migrants that Kamala and Joe brought in, not us. All that is next on the Chris Crock Show. And I'm going to ask you a question on that right now. And the lines are wide open for you to chime in. Who do you trust to handle our economy and inflation better, Kamala or Joe? Or Kamala or Trump? Who do you trust to handle our economy and our inflation better, Kamala or Trump? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I can't wait to get into this with you next. Chime in right now. Lines wide open, 800-288-9227. Let's hear Rick Santelli, who is the famed CNBC anchor, and his thoughts on Kamala and the debate the next morning on CNBC. He's a revered business guy, expert, who's a commentator and has been for, 20 years on CNBC or longer. Here he goes.
Listen, prices are going up no matter what, Andrew. Whether you do it on the tax side, whether you do it on the tariff side, our policies are silly. We can't be Santa Claus. All those programs aren't policies, they're promises that never get by Congress, and each one of them has a cost we can't afford because we've done this before. When you prepay and you make policies that don't make economic sense, you may think you're getting a benefit. Look at what we learned yesterday. Finally, wages reach 2019, but it doesn't reflect how much they've gone up since 2019. If you're out there and you're a young person, study up. Study up. All these superstars that made recommendations in such a timely fashion yesterday, maybe they don't feel the pain of what's going on, but I feel bad that they can't buy houses and insurance. You think these prices of insurance are going to go down, Andrew? You think people in Florida that could barely hold on to their homes could afford 300% increases in their insurance?
There is no question about that. It's a very true statement.
Right, so why don't we talk about it? Why don't we talk about it?
Well, then there's other issues around climate issues and other things that are affecting things in Florida.
What issues did you learn last night? The ABC people were like a turkey shoot.
There you go. Santelli tells it like it is there. I just shared with you how you are poor. All races, all classes are poor under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for 4 years, for the first 3 years of their administration compared to Trump. It's unbelievably disparate. It's unbelievably different. Asians made $13,100 less. This is U.S. Census Bureau statistics. Asians made $13,100 less in the first 3 years of Biden versus Trump and Harris. Whites made $8,160 less under the first 3 years of Biden and Harris versus Trump. Hispanics made $6,260 less in the first 3 years of Trump versus $6,260 less in the first 3 years of Kamala Joe than Trump. Then under Trump, blacks made $1,900 less. It's half of what they made compared to Trump his first 3 years. It's unbelievable. The Journal says the Trump tax reform and deregulation boosted growth, which resulted in a tighter labor market and rising wages without fueling inflation. Federal spending as a share of GDP averaged 20.5% during the first 3 years under Trump compared to 25.8% under Biden. That's 5.3 points higher in federal spending. Never has the government spent so much money only to leave Americans poorer, says the Wall Street Journal. There you go. There's your truth. My question is, there's the truth. Do you think this, who do you trust, I should say, to handle our economy and inflation better? 800-288-WBAP. We have four lines open, 800-288-9227. Let's go to Walt in McKinney. Walt, WBAP, you're on.
Hey, sir. Absolutely trust Trump. I don't see how anyone could not see what we've gone through and not trust him over this woman who has no clue what she's talking about. It's Trump all the way.
All right. I agree with you and appreciate your call.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. All right. Hey, here's more. Our lines are wide open right now. Chime in right now. We can still pop you on this segment. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Who do you trust more to handle our economy and inflation better, Trump or Kamala? Look at this, guys. Registered voters, 90% of registered voters believe there's currently a retirement crisis savings in America. Retirement savings crisis in America. Only 22% are extremely or very confident having enough money. Nearly a third have no retirement savings to speak of. And look at this. Since October 2019, how many workers in the United States lost their jobs? Since Joe and Kamala took over, 1.4 million U.S. workers lost their jobs. 1.4 million. Foreign workers, illegals from Joe and Kamala, at the same time gained 3 million jobs. We lost 1.4 million. Joe and Kamala's illegals gained 3 million jobs. I repeat, the United States lost 1.4 million jobs. U.S. workers, I should say. U.S. workers lost 1.5 million jobs almost. Foreign-born illegals from Joe and Kamala gained 3 million jobs since 2019. Kamala in New York City, they're spending $5 billion this year and potentially $10 billion next year for the illegals. Millions of working age Americans are also not working, according to Charles Payne from Fox Business. They've left the workforce after 6 months of asylum. Kamala and Joe gives those illegals work permits. That's why 3 million have got jobs now, and we don't have any. Half of us, we lost 1.5 million while they gained 3 million. Encounters at the southern border went up almost 240% under Kamala and Joe compared to Trump. 240% more illegal invasion at the border, and that does not include gotaways, which is about 2 million so far under Joe and Kamala. So you add 2 million to the fold, who are terrorists, rapists, murderers, gang members, you name it. They don't want to be caught, so they go in between the borders of checkpoints. Food. I'm going to give you the details. How much is food raised under Kamala Joe? How much is housing raised under Kamala Joe? And how much is gas energy raised under Kamala Joe? Auto insurance. And what does the CNN poll show? Who would handle the economy better, Trump or Kamala? It's incredible. And then I'm going to tell you about how 1 in 4 millennials say that they will not have kids because of their finances. Kamala and Joe are destroying this country, and they're having it invaded by illegals. They are literally destroying this nation. They are having. If you couldn't make a better formula to destroy a nation and bring it down to its knees and destroy it, and that's what they're doing. We'll give the details next. We got Tom in Texas calling, and we've got other people call. We got 3 lines open. It's 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Tom, you're next. It's stunning. We became poorer in the first 3 years of Kamala Biden than the first 3 years of Trump, and that's U.S. Census statistics. If you're Asian, you made $13,100 less in the first 3 years of Kamala versus Trump. If you're white, you made $8,160 less in the first 3 years of Kamala Biden than under Trump. If you're Hispanic, you made $6,260 less in the first 3 years of Biden versus Trump. And if you're black, you made $1,900 less, which is half of what you made under Trump, more. And the Journal says that Biden spent 5.3% more of government money, and he says they say never has the government spent so much money only to leave Americans poorer. They continue on, and they say housing, for example, housing is a lot more expensive, and they say, quote, blame the housing price inflation of the Biden and Kamala years. I added Kamala because it's true. The administration spun it and said, today's report shows we're making real progress growing the middle class. Journal says, nope, America's middle class has seen their incomes after inflation stagnate during the Biden presidency. They say the White House boasts higher insurance reached record rates. Health insurance coverage reached record rates, but the share of uninsured was the same in 2023 as in 2019, according to the United States Census. There was no increase in insurance, but Biden and Harris said there was an increase. They say not true according to the U.S. Census. The difference is that fewer Americans now have private insurance. Almost 3% of Americans lost private insurance, and now more are under Medicare, almost 1%, and Medicaid 1.7%. They made us poorer and more reliant on the government. Those are my words. All told, the journal says federal health care spending has increased by more than $500 billion since Kamala and Joe took over, yet this money has not bought better health coverage. Everything they've done is a disaster. Everything. Those are my words. The last closing sentence in this column is the census report explains why so many Americans are sour on the Biden economy. The facts back them up. Okay, so inflation. I promise to share this with you. Then we'll go to Diana in Dallas, plus your call. My question is, who do you trust to handle our economy and inflation better? Kamala or Trump? Look at this. Under Kamala and Joe, food is more than 20% more expensive under Kamala and Joe than when they took over. Housing is up 23% since when they took over. Gas and energy is up 50% since they took over. Auto insurance is up 55% since they took over. A CNN pollster says when they polled who would handle the economy better, Trump 53, Kamala 37. After the debate, it stayed the same. It literally went down by 2 for both. He went down by 2. No, he went up. I'm so sorry. After the debate, he got higher scores on who will handle the economy better. He went from 53 to 55, and she went down from 37 to 33%. Trump literally is close to doubling who would be handle the economy better by Americans. So there's your answer to the number one issue in America. The number 2 is immigration. Everybody knows that Trump wins by a wide spread on that. That's why he's probably not wanting to debate, but we'll see about that. Diana in Dallas, hello. Welcome to WBAP.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the answer to your question is I don't think Kamala is capable of handling the economy. She's shown through this administration with Biden that she cannot lead our country in the economy in the right direction. We're going down, and the American dream is going down the tubes. And on the other hand, we have Trump, who is very capable. He's a businessman. He knows what he's doing. He's proven himself in his first administration. Our economy was wonderful, and I trust him to do it again.
Yeah, I agree, and everything shows it. It's stunning, the data that I've been sharing. It blows me away as I share it. Listen, great call, Diana. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
800-288-WBAP is our number. We got 4 lines open, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Who do you trust to handle our economy and inflation better? Let's go to David in Arlington. David, what's up? WBAP.
Well, I trust a businessman, and I trust a accomplished building builder. Someone that mostly built New York City from the ground up after it was a complete ghetto. Yes, I trust him a lot better to handle the economy than somebody that puts me in the toilet as far as my senior citizen status goes.
Yeah, I mean, does it surprise you to hear how unbelievably better and richer the Americans were under the first 3 years of Trump versus Biden and Kamala?
No, it doesn't. No. Every time a Republican, per se, is in the White House, I have a job. When Democrats are in there, they cut everything and make people start getting laid off. That's the way it's been since Jimmy Carter.
I agree with you, and I appreciate your call, my friend.
All right. Good night, sir. Love your show.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Look at this. Under Trump, This is on my Facebook page. You should follow me on Facebook and on Twitter at Chris Crock and Instagram. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show, ChrisKrok. What I share on this show, most of what you hear is on my Twitter feed. You get it all, and you can share it, everything. Also on my Instagram and on my Facebook. Trump under Trump, mortgage rates were 2.77%. Under Kamala, 7.75%. Personal savings under Trump was up 385%. Under Kamala, it's down 73%. Under Trump, credit card delinquency was down 11%. Under Kamala, it's up 50%. Real weekly wages were up under Trump 8.2% and are down 3.9% under Kamala. I shared the details. That's exactly right. Okay, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Who do you trust to handle our economy better and inflation better, Kamala or Trump? Look at this, the CPI report. That's the CPI inflation report for August. That's the Consumer Product Inflation Index, I should say. Broad measure of goods and services costs, goods and services cost across the United States economy increased in August. Inflation went up in August because that's taking out the volatile food and energy prices that go way up and way down all the time. You take that out and you can see what really is going on with the economy, which is why CNBC and all the other top business outlets and news outlets report this. That put the 12-month inflation rate at 2.5%. That literally is almost double what it was in Trump's when Trump left office. They literally doubled it, and they're bragging about doubling it when they were the ones that brought it up from 1.4% under Trump to 9.1% a year and a half into the. Kamala cast the tie vote, 3 different tie votes. She personally was responsible for spending $2.5 trillion of our money, trillion of our money, causing inflation. Larry Summers and Mark Furman, 2 top Obama economists, said don't do it. They said it in columns publicly, like in the New York Times, other columns publicly. Don't do it, Kamala. Don't do it, Joe. It'll cause inflation. They did it, and then they've publicly said too, see, we told you. They did this. Kamala and Joe did. Kamala proudly did it. She proudly cast the tie vote, presiding over the Senate as the vice president. She was the critical way to spend $2.5 trillion. Kamala and Joe spent $5.6 trillion in just 3.5 years, compared to Trump. They spent double that Trump did. And guess what? Trump had coronavirus, a pandemic, where the government was shut down, and all that money was spent because of that. So what's their excuse? Nothing. Socialism. That's their excuse. Leftist, Marxism, printing money. Okay, should we do Mike in Dallas now or next? Next? Okay, Mike in Dallas, you're coming up in 2 minutes about Trump on the economy and versus Kamala. Also, I'm going to tell you the inflation breakdown chart for August of 2024 in one chart, according to CNBC. You're going to hear the major price increases of the major things that you and I care about for just 1 month, how much prices went up. You're not going to like it. Also, 1 in 4 millennials and Gen Zers no longer say they'll have kids because of finances. That is how Kamala and Joe are also destroying this country, in addition to invading our country with 14 to 16 million illegals, depending on who you ask. All that is next on the new Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Look at the inflation for just the month of August going up under Kamala and Joe Biden. Inflation, consumer price index rose 2.5% in August, meaning everything except for food and energy went up 2.5%. It's so volatile, that's why they don't include it in the CPI. That's a real measure of inflation that strips out the volatile stuff, food and energy. Look at this. Food at home went up 0.9%, almost 1%. Food in general went up 2.1%. So you pay more for the same food right now, 2.1% more today than you did July 31st. Isn't that insane? Your food at home is almost 1% higher. It's 0.9 in 1 month alone. Peanut butter went up 4.7% in 1 month. Olives, pickles, and relishes, 4%. Same thing with oranges. Baby formula 3.7%, sugar 3.5%. Whole milk, 3%, and crackers, bread, and cracker products, 2.8%. Food away from home, 4.3% for food away from home. Can you believe that? Almost 4.5% food increase in 1 month. Energy, electricity went up 3.9% in 1 month. Okay, motor vehicle insurance, 16.5% in 1 month. 16.5% more for motor vehicle insurance in 1 month. I'm trying not to get into too much granular here. Let's go. Veterinarian services went up 7.6% in 1 month, the month of August. Daycare, preschool, 6.2% in 1 month. Hospital, 5.8%. Laundry and cleaning services, 5.7%. And postage delivery, 5.5%. And motor vehicle maintenance and servicing, 5.1%. I can vouch for that. I'm sure you can too. Rent of primary residence went up 5% in 1 month, the month of August. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are destroying this nation. They're destroying us. And their last devastating piece on this before we go to Mike in Dallas, and I'm asking you a simple question. Who do you trust to handle our economy and inflation better, Trump or Kamala? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Almost 1 in 4. Actually, you know what? I'll hold. I'll share this when we come back from Mike's call. Mike in Dallas, what do you got? WBAP.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Do you live in a cave, or do you just walk through life with blinders on to think that the economy would be better under Harris? I mean, who in their right mind could ever think that? I mean, it's as a
I know who can think that. I know who can think that. Taylor Swift.
No, I don't. I mean, not you personally.
No. I'm saying I know who can think that. Taylor Swift. That's why she.
Well, she needs to mind her own business.
No, she's free to say it, but she's literally does not. It doesn't matter to her.
Well,
do you think inflation like this matters to her when you're worth over $1 billion?
No, she makes her billions. She just needs to stick to making records and keep her nose out of real life.
No, she can share, but I mean, she's a billionaire. Anyways, go ahead. I have a Kamala song. I have a new Kamala parody song. After we're done, I'm going to play as much as I can. You're going to laugh hard. Go ahead.
Can I make a comment though?
Yeah. Of course. I apologize. Go.
Our boy Trump, he really let me down in this debate. As important as the economy is.
Yes.
He didn't say anything about that, but he's talking about immigrants, illegals, eating cats and dogs. What is wrong with him? I love
agree.
The guy. I voted for him last time. I'm voting for him again, but nothing.
I agree.
I don't get it.
I agree. It's the same thing I told you 6 years ago, and 4 years ago, and 3 years ago, and 2 years ago. He's his own worst enemy.
He is. I always say he's a very intelligent dummy.
Yes.
He can't keep his...
Each candidate has warts.
I'm short like that, too. Personally, I'm not politically a correct guy at all. But I'm not the president of the United States either, or running for the president.
Right.
He's his own worst enemy, that's for sure.
I agree. I agree, Mike, and I appreciate your great call tonight. Keep in touch. Keep calling. Appreciate you.